此视频由喜马亚口罩赞助播出。
哦，
耶！
为什么你可以这么开心？
哎，很开心啊！你看今天穿的这样好看。
你知道我们的频道常常一直在骂政府、讲政府、酸政府，
很骄傲啊。
然后我们今天来到了政府部门嘞。
对呀，我们可以进去当面骂他，还不爽咩？
不能啊，嘉文，我怕等下我们一进去，他直接关注，把我们直接抓掉怎么办？
哎呀，不会的，你要往好的方面去想。就如果你进去然后被抓了，你就可以跟他去拍影片了哦。是不是想得很兴奋呢？
也是对哦。
来
，Let's go，Let's go。
Hello, how are you? Very nice to see you.
Oh, I'm very nervous.
Okay.
How should we address you? YB or
Uncle lah.
Uncle?
Have a seat, have a seat. You pakai sneaker ah? Wah.
Ini kasut basketball.
Boleh macam ni ah, guard. Tak ada halang you ah.
Tak lah. Ada masa saya pergi mesyuarat kabinet
Juga
atau saya pergi parlimen tapi tu pakai black lah.
Saya nampak banyak basketball ah. You
Okay.
like basketball loh?
Yeah, I used to play. I used to coach. I'm also founder of the Malaysian Women Basketball League. Oh, you must know that jersey.
Yeah.
Alright,
The
alright.
one in red. That one is signed by the most famous Chinese basketballer who played in the NBA.
Jeremy Lim.
No.
Oh, that
Yao
one.
Ming.
Yao Ming. Oh,
Yao
sorry.
Ming.
Different era already.
Hey, so bad.
What ball you like?
I like fishball.
Oh, you know what ball I like? I like politician with ball.
That one.
You very brave, ah. You come to our show, ah. We always ask the question which is very harsh.
No lah. You can ask me all the difficult question, but
Yeah.
not the penalty kick one lah.
Okay.
Alright.
So right now we are in the
Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So is it what you usually do? Go to different countries,
Watch
make friends with
basketball
all the
match.
yeah,
Well,
watch
if I-
NBA only.
Is it a very good job because you know?
Yeah, you can travel here and there.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's actually the burden is very high because you have to represent the country. You cannot say wrong things. You have to choose your word properly. The word that we use among diplomats is you must be measured. But actually, it's quite tiring. You must learn how to sleep on the flight. You have no time. You turun, you ada masa mandi dekat
Airport.
Itu kalau sampai masa bolehlah sampai hotel. You go down the plane, mandi dekat airport, terus pergi meeting.
Oh.
Tapi you fly with first class, right?
Business class
Wait. I am entitled. Ya, semua menteri entitled to first class. But to me, second class pun dah cukup dah. Hey, you save a lot of money there, you know.
Yalah. So this match got many dots. So means that you already
You
fly.
went through all these
No.
countries?
This is not the place where I flew.
Oh.
What that means?
Okay, the red one is where we have our embassies, and the yellow one is where we have our consulates. There should be 107 dots altogether.
So what is actually Ministry of Foreign Affairs do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are the front for the country.
Alright.
Our role is really to promote our interests overseas, and there are the 3 tiers. One is political security. So in that sense, we work very closely with Ministry of Defense. The second pillar is economy and trade. This we work very closely with UT. And the third one is identity and socio-cultural programs. People to people, Malaysian basketball and Chinese basketball working together. China sending their coaches here. Our SEA Games players go to China and train before the SEA Games. Things like that. This is socio-cultural, which includes sports.
So the Panda in Zunagara is under your
It's
coverage.
under, well, yeah, it is under us.
Alright. So what is so important? Do you have any example like it is actually benefit to our people?
Say political security.
Yep.
One of the responsibility of our ministry is to look at our borders in terms of the map. So we have the 1979 map. Every time people come into our waters, let's say fishermen from other countries, they like to come and then they go into our waters. So where is the measure? The measure is according to Malaysia Map 1979, which we
Right.
registered at the United Nations. Of course, the Navy, they all know where the border is. And if anyone comes into our waters, then the Navy will probably engage and shoo them away. On trade,
Alright, on track.
the signing, the opening up of new trade, we facilitate MITI to do the arrangement and the signing of trade deals, trade arrangements and trade agreements.
So if the relationship between the country is really go
Getting
back,
tense and conflict.
so
The first
it will
thing,
really
the
affect
the first thing people will look at is Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Any small issues at all,
Right.
the first port of call is always the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. If anything happened to our people overseas, the first phone call is always to their Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I
Yes.
heard right now the Cambodia and also
Yeah.
the Myanmar got a lot
The
of job scam.
is
Yeah.
very...
Yeah, is it they call you a lot? Is it?
Well, we receive a lot of complaints
Alright.
from parents and siblings, and we have the special task force to look after this issue. This involves a few countries: Thailand, Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, and also Vietnam. So the moment we get the report, the first thing, our mission in Phnom Penh will connect with the authorities in Cambodia. We work very well with them. Our police and their police work very well. So they will be first the search, look out for where they are. Once you found them, you selamatkan lah. You bring them. When they come back, our police will also take a statement from them and then make our investigation, because we believe it is a syndicate. So there are people here, there are people there who work to recruit them. So I went to Phnom Penh recently, and I brought back 24 people together with me on the
You
same
went
flight.
there
I went
personally?
there
Wow.
personally. But of course, there are more than that. Our mission have worked with the local authority in Cambodia, have saved hundreds of them.
It sounds very simple, but from the news that we heard, it's like kind
Very
of
hard.
complicated.
You know,
Yeah.
there's
It's
a lot
like-
of gangsters
yeah,
there.
and their own
Yes,
authorities are not giving cooperation.
Yeah, the
because-
police are
Yeah.
corrupted already.
Well,
is it true?
Well, as far as we are concerned, I think their authorities have been very helpful. The one that I went to Phnom Penh, I think within a few days, they helped us save 53 people within a few days. They have been very cooperative. But of course, you know, this is a syndication. Our advice for Malaysian is, number one, before you go to any foreign country, not only limited to these 4 or 5 countries, it can be anywhere at all. Please, we are here to help you. Check with us, check with our mission in the foreign land. Make sure the company is genuine, the offer is genuine. Number
Can
2,
they check with you?
Yeah, we can
Any
check with us.
website or any
they can check with us. We can help them out. Say you get an offer
Alright.
from one particular country. It's so good, you know. It's like 10,000 US per month kind of pay. All right. No, we can check for you
Oh,
whether that company is really
Really
They can
genuine.
just,
in
they
there.
can
It's
just write
legit.
in email and ask you guys
Yeah,
to do the
email
background check
or
for
call
them.
our counselor. No, we are here to help. You see, Cambodia, for example,
All right.
there are about 500 Malaysian companies there and 5,000 Malaysians working.
That's a lot.
Real company, genuine work.
Right.
So, but a few hundred get into trouble because of the scam.
So it's not to say that never go to this country anymore, but just to do a better
Yeah,
check.
just do a better check. Even in Myanmar, we know there are of course some political issues. Where got no political issues? So there are political
Very
issues.
experienced.
Okay.
Who
There are-
caused the political issue?
I don't know, politician. I don't know. So okay, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, people ask me, can we go and do business in Myanmar? I say, well, Yangon is quite peaceful. Naypyidaw is quite peaceful. Don't go to the inner lands because there are lots of issues there. So we are not stopping people to go and do business in Myanmar. The only difference is we do not recognize the government of Myanmar, but that's another story altogether. People can still go.
We see it's like getting more and more tense between the relationship among countries.
Yeah.
There are lots of wars happening.
Ukraine war, US versus
China.
China. Is it your job to make sure Malaysia in a good
Survivor.
position?
Well, one of our job is really to try to play a role in shaping a better world, a world that is truly peaceful. Peace is sustainable. A lot of things that we do, bilateral relations, multilateral relations, our role in ASEAN, the OIC, in the United Nations, and so on and so forth. But we are a small country, and there are the 5 superpowers. The 5 superpowers behave differently, and all the superpower want to do is, come on, I have my rightful place in the world. Our policy is non-aligned. We are independent. We are not siding with anyone. We are friends to anyone, all of the superpowers. There are different kinds of intensity in the rivalry between the US and China. When Trump was president, he seems to be so hard on China. There was a time when he was attacking China technology, and he specifically mentioned Huawei. Prime Minister of Malaysia at the time was Mahathir, and Mahathir defended Huawei. Most of our telcos in Malaysia, local telcos, are using technologies from China because it is competitive in terms of pricing, even competitive in terms of technology. So it's a natural thing. You want to find the best with the most competitive pricing. Yeah.
Are you friends with Wang Yi?
Well,
the China one, because like Hishamuddin last time called him.
我的
大哥 my brother. Yeah.
Well, I call him my brother too.
Oh yeah, but little brother or big brother?
No.
It's different.
He's a senior brother in terms of his experience in work. You know, he's a good friend. We go along very well. He actually helped me to do the basketball thing, the basketball diplomacy between Malaysia and China. Sending China coaches to come here and train, and our team to go to China and practice.
Like last time with China. Ship or battleship.
they come to the North China Sea.
So did you call Wang Yi?
Oh well, we discussed this a lot. Yeah. Well,
ask your people don't come.
No, normally we send notes. We call it protest notes or diplomatic notes. When it comes to China and Malaysia and South China Sea, we are working on code of conduct between ASEAN member states and China. Of course, my main complaint has always been that the Coast Guard boat from China, they normally come right into our waters, and our authorities will then communicate with them, and normally they will go out and then they come again. But so far, thank God, there are no major issues. China is actually our #1 trade partner, #1 foreign investor in Malaysia. So we put a lot of importance in our relations. During my first tour as foreign minister, when Tun Mahathir was prime minister, he went to China twice. Our MITI minister at that time, Darrell King, and the current MITI minister, Azmin Ali, has been to China more than once. It so happened in Indra Mahkota, MCKIP, Malaysia-China, Malaysia-China Kuantan Industrial Park. 3,500 acres for heavy manufacturing and light manufacturing. And then it has its twin sister in Qinzhou. This is very unique. This is the only twin industrial park that Malaysia has. It's only with China so far.
大选去投票站好多人怎么办？当然就是要戴最高级的口罩啦！推荐给大家 Himaya #99 口罩。有别于一般的挂耳式口罩，它是头环式口罩，而且透气性非常好，帮助你可以减少对皮肤的刺激。大家可以看到它的做工是非常精细的顶级口罩哦，拿来送人是最适合不过，尤其是送给你的穆斯林朋友们。Himaya口罩分3层跟4层，每一层都能够达到最顶级的保护，绝对是 premium product， 大家千万不要错过它啦。Alright, let's get to the hard part, okay?
Die. Now I die. Go water.
Prepare a lot of
juicy part.
We have to address the elephant in the room. You have this book, right? You read this book, New Politics 2.0, Multiracial and Moderate Malaysian Democracy.
We heard that this is the book that being recognized and 1 out of 10 book that must-read books for Malaysia.
To understand Malaysia.
Is it?
Wow, very good book, huh? I read a little bit of what this book about. We must end politics of race with religious undertone, come up with a new multiracial politics thought, and realize the true meaning of moderation, right? So why you join Persatu after this?
I thought this is Persatu pre-Bumi.
Okay, no, it's okay. It's a very fair question. I am a social democrat, by definition. I've always been like that since my time in UMNO. But of course, Malaysian politics is such that if you are alone, in the sense that you run as a bebas, no chance lah.
Alright.
So you have to belong to something.
Right.
Why
When I
was
was in UMNO, it is not really about UMNO. It is really the principle of Barisan Nasional that I subscribe to.
Alright.
I left UMNO because of the 1MDB. The way UMNO leaders, especially Datuk Seri Najib, the way he handled. Then I joined Keadilan.
Yeah.
Alright. Something happened. I joined Bersatu. But I'm responsible in asking the president to open up Bersatu to non-Malays. So we now have the associate members or Bersekutu of Bersatu, where Chinese Indians and people who are non-Bumiputra can become members. My idea is not what the Bersekutu of Bersatu today is. My idea is we should follow, for example, PBB in Sarawak. Yeah, it's not there yet, but this is something that Bersatu can do. So I'm not a Bersatu mati-mati what it is today like. No, I'm a social democrat. I'm a moderate, progressive, liberal politician, and I want to change Bersatu.
One of your progressive idea long time ago, is it you are willing to acknowledge UEC or it's just rumors? We don't know.
Well, I made that. Yeah, there are 60 all independent Chinese secondary schools.
Yeah.
Number 61 is the one in Kuantan. Thousands of students who take the UEC examination. They are still Malaysian. I believe that we should recognize the UEC. I have said that since my time in UMNO. Look, there was a time when we have Sekolah Agama. We sit down, we discuss. At the end of the day, we recognize. Now, back to the UEC, I met the Dongzong leadership before. And when I was Deputy Minister of Higher Education, there was already a committee chaired by my colleague from MCA. They have listed the number of issues that needs to be discussed. And there was supposed to be further discussion on it. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I believe we shouldn't start from zero. We should go back to that time when there was already a committee. I believe in progressive politics. I believe in multiracial.
Then why don't you like join the multiracial country like PKR or even DAP? You can join DAP, right?
I was a member of PKR. But then the Prime Minister at that time, Tun Mahathir, resigned, if you remember. Then he lost his the numbers. He didn't get the numbers. The responsibility at that time was to ensure that there is a government.
So you can just stay in PKR, right? Even though he resigned.
Well, then it's going to be a long story. Something happened in the PKR convention in Malacca. So,
can tell us a little bit?
Yeah, it's a clash of personalities. So that's why I didn't really like to discuss this kind of things.
Okay.
Quite a number of MPs from PKR, depending on how you look at it, left the party or being sacked from the party, but it happens, you know. So again, it's not about policy. What happened at the convention in Malacca is not clash of ideology or clash of policy. It's clash of personalities. So this is the.
Is it the men start with the alphabet A?
He's living together with
There are so many A's.
He's living together.
So many A's. Alright. Okay.
Yeah. But you see, I'm glad that you asked this question because many people, especially the young, they really hate politics because of this.
Yeah. We think there's too many chaos.
Too much of these clashes. The problem with Malaysia is that we have too much of personality orientation in our political discussion and very little on policy. I mean, election come and go. Politics happen, election happen. Sometimes you take the wrong step. Now, I admit, I may have taken a wrong stand. So people can accuse me of anything. I say, okay, fair, no problem. You like me lah. You don't like me, you don't like me lah. What can I do? But more important is, once the dust is cleared, then we must be able to sit down and talk things and talk policy. There are 10 MPs, including me, from across parties who form the all-parliamentarian to discuss political donation law. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
came up with the
very
first bill, but we have Mukrish in the committee, you have Syed Saddiq in the committee, there's Fadilah, senator from PKR, and we spent quite a substantial number of hours discussing what kind of political financing law that is required from Malaysia. And thankfully, the cabinet agreed that this should be presented to Parliament, but now it's academic. Parliament has been dissolved, but I hope one of the new bills that can be introduced in Parliament is the political financing law.
So you don't really care if people accuse you as, people voted you for PH and then you form another alliance.
They will call you,
They will
Tata.
see it as a sign of betrayal.
I understand why they
The
call me
frustration.
those names, the frustrations. That is something that has happened. As I said, I probably make mistakes here and there when I make certain decisions myself. But more importantly is now what do we do next? And to my mind, I think what is more important is really to come up with a new political configuration. I still believe in what I wrote about to stop or to put an end to racist or racial politics, depending on how you look at it.
Alright, sure.
So you believe that Perikatan Nasional can help you to achieve all your ideology in Malaysia?
I believe that I need a platform. Well, for the time being, because I am in Perikatan Nasional, I believe I can work on it, but it is not about one coalition. It has to be everyone on board. In many of the Nordic countries, Finland, Norway, Sweden, very high income but very high tax. Good quality free education for their kids. It surprises me because they don't have minimum wage, but they have collective bargaining. You are the employer and you are the employee. You are the trade union leader of the organization. Things happen such a way that you are not making good profit. So you call the union and say, can we all pay cut lah? 3 months later, things improve, pay back, Okay, no minimum wage, collective bargaining. That is the kind of democracy that we need to build. But this cannot be done only through election.
We agree on what idealism that you talk about. We
Social
hope-
democrat.
Yeah, one very, very concerning things about Perikatan Nasional is you're working with PAS.
Have any comments or?
I think,
Very scary.
I understand that. Every party has its own progression. There are parties that started as very radical and become more moderate. There are parties that started as moderate and then become
Right.
very conservative and things like that. There was a time when I think if you look at the history of past, they were even more conservative than they are today. Remember the 2 imams, not only Chinese, even Malay was scared at past. That is already history. So if you look at the future, probably have to look at the manifesto of Perikatan Nasional. That will give you presentation of how PAS together with Bersatu and Gerakan look at things. Can I guarantee you that everything will be alright? No, I cannot guarantee anything. But I think PAS deserve to be given that kind of chance. Of course, within every party, there are the rights and the left, the radical and the moderate. I would rather look at the majority. Well, at this point, I cannot go further. Then I will be defining PAS for you, which is really not fair. Then I'll become very, defensive or very apologetic and, hey, vote lah, So I try my hard, very hard to convince you. No. Along the way, even after election, there can be some issues. We really have to debate it openly to solve it case by case, one by one. I understand the concern. I understand the worries. I have my worries too.
You worry Chinese won't vote you?
No, not that. No, my worries is I don't want Perikatan Nasional to move to the right.
Alright, sure.
Okay.
So you are the left.
I want all to the
Pull
left.
them.
Yeah. I believe that Perikatan Nasional must remain at the center. And every party actually. Because any party that moves to the left or to the right too much, then you will leave the center vacuum. Then you don't have a place to negotiate. Then Bersatu have to play a greater role by, as I said, Number one, having more progressive ideas and policies, expanding the non-Malay representation, participation and representation in the party. Gerakan has to do more, definitely.
Why you suddenly become?
You have to do more.
Why?
Because they really have to do more.
Okay.
It's a pressure to be interviewing you because you always think we are in our own bubble, but we don't really know what Malays want. Do you think like actually all Malaysians looking for the same vision?
I think we should start making sure that all of us have friends from the other race. I think that's the real key. I learned a lot about how to live together peacefully and in a much friendly manner through basketball.
Through basketball.
Alright, so okay.
That's how I started having a lot of Chinese friends.
Alright, sure.
Yeah, well, I have one daughter and she's staying with a Chinese girl. I thought that's the right thing to do.
So the last question will be, since you are the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you fly around the world, maybe you are not really around. Do you have any words to the people there?
Firstly, I must thank all the people of Indra Mahkota in the last 4 years. My team and myself, of course, try our level best to serve the people. We have done quite a bit in education. 30% of my peruntukan went to education, to all of the schools, including the 5 SJKCs, including Chungching too, where they had basketball again. Piala Saifuddin Abdullah, whatever. Right, to uplift one area called Batu Hitam. I managed to get 2.5 million to do upliftment of the food court, make it more beautiful, more modern. And it's still work in progress, it's almost done. For the future, I think we need to do 3 things on education, infrastructure. The number 1 thing is on the economy, especially because of COVID-19. The idea is to turn Indra Mahkota into a digital economy hub. Again, remember, there is MCKIP. We need to redesign MCKIP so that it is also a digital economic hub, and this is the way to add more jobs, add more opportunities for business. How do you say it in Mandarin? Ping Jing Jing.
Oh,
okay.
Really well prepared.
Yeah, very well.
Thank you so much for having us. So I think that's the end for this interview.
怎样，卢卡斯？什么感觉？
哇，很难形容，你有什么感觉？
蛮第一次听的啦，就是satu跟我们讲，他们不是只在乎pribumi
对，很特别。
对，我觉得不管是不是真的，还是他大选只是要这样子讲，起码他讲了，
是
他讲了就可以录下来，然后
我们把它翻译成马来
了就不能跑了。好过没有讲吗？
我们传播出去没有啦，不要这样。只是今天又是有一种突破同温层的感觉啊，让我知道其实马来社会不是铁板一块啦，这是我最大的感受。尤其是真的是10年前他就在讲这个东西。I don't know which is true or not, but 欢迎大家来 comment， 因为我刚开始接到这个邀约的时候哦，我
外交部哦，
对，然后我
采访这个一个的 nation 呢，
我自己是有一点害怕，但是我同时我又觉得，我们每次都是访问 DAP， 所以PH，
harapan，
是，然后
就我们觉得需要给观众看一下不一样的
圈层
啊，他们的，
所以你们觉得怎么样？觉得他怎么样？觉得我们怎么样？是不是觉得我们很狗腿？是我们很狗腿，怎么样？
可是媒体就是这样了嘛，我们只报你们又讲我们这个
不中立。
对啦，我们帮他们，你们又讲我们帮他们啊，你们自己讲了。
你们自己讲，不要这样 ending， 要有正能量。所以大家今天这支影片之后按赞 share 出去，然后去交一个马来朋友。我们下期再见，拜拜。